Welcome everybody, live from the Dutch Hall. Tonight's guest from Rainey Media, Dean Rainey.
All right, yeah.
Featuring our bartender, Bertha Boy, Derek the Beef Van Houten.
All right, thank you.
I'm one half of Nocturnal Emissions, Mike Bowe.
Yeah.
Now here's your host, the man who believes video did not kill the radio star, Pete Van Dyke.
All right, everybody. All right. Thank you, everyone. Welcome. Oh, hot crowd, as always. Welcome to Live from the Dutch Hall. I'm your host, Pete Van Dyke. Welcome again to our second video podcast of Live from the Dutch Hall. And this is a little bit of a different cast from what we were used to for last week. Last week, we had the premiere of the supergroup Nocturnal Emissions. And this week, we're one member short. We're just Mike Bowe, which we're happy to have you. You nailed the opening, Mike.
Well, thank you very much. Yeah. I'm glad to carry the load today for my friend Dave.
Yeah, definitely. Did he give you any tips or like instructions when you came in to represent the band today?
No, zero help at all. This was all me, Dave. Zero help. So thanks a lot, bud.
Well, we're really happy to have you. And also, my brother, Paul Van Dyke.
Great bartender.
For the show Live from the Dutch Hall. He committed to being our full-time bartender, so we treat him as such around here. And he was in Toronto today. We sent Paul to Toronto today. Oh. Which is a really traumatic experience for someone from Norfolk County who doesn't get out very much.
I guess so.
And he went on this trip. It's really exciting to think of. I would wish we could have attached a GoPro camera to his forehead and watched watch what happens when you take a quintessential Norfolk boy. Like when I say Norfolk, for those of you listening from outside the area, when I talk about Norfolk County, it's we're talking about the county. We're a different sort of people out here in Norfolk County, and I think the same would be true about many people outside of the major urban centers, where it gets to be a little different, and we get used to the way life is out here, which is a far cry different from the way it is in the big city. Yeah, so you imagine a grizzly bear like Paul, right?
A real man.
You know, you saw him, bearded, like giant, like a real grizzled fella.
He might get lost. He might get a few times.
Well, I just picture Paul driving down the highway. You know, when he leaves Norfolk County, and our biggest center in Norfolk County is Simcoe.
Simcoe, yeah. Metropolis of Simcoe.
Yeah, it's the city that services us. And by city, I mean like it's about, 18,000 people or something?
Yeah, give or take, yeah.
So we're not talking about bigger urban centers.
To us it is.
To us it is. That's our big city.
Yeah.
And then you go like, you might get through Brantford, you're at 80,000 people. Then you get to like, and already I can see Paul getting a little nervous, right?
Outside Brantford.
Yeah. Then all of a sudden you hit into Hamilton, you start to see a few big buildings, and the traffic's getting a bit thick, you know? And then Paul's probably going to get a bead of a sweat on his forehead, I would imagine, right?
White knuckling a bit.
Something's like not right here at this point in time. By the time he hits the suburbs, you know, by the time he starts hitting the suburbs and all the houses are looking the same and all that stuff, Paul's thinking he's in a bizarro world that he doesn't even understand, right?
Yeah, he's drove off the end of the earth.
Yeah, he might as well be on a different planet, right? Yeah. And not to mention he's got 3 young boys, all young kids like under the age of 10. Right, and he's bringing these boys who have, again, like probably the biggest thing that they see is Victoria Ballpark. You know,
it's a plethora of children around there having a great time.
Right, and now they're in downtown Toronto with the Hockey Hall of Fame and the aquarium and all that stuff that they're doing. And I can just picture my brother marching these 3 little kids whose heads are turning as fast as they can, all the different things they're seeing, like just and
bouncing off the walls, eh?
Yeah, and Paul, while his wife's at a nice business conference, is going to be the man that's going to take these 3 through the city of Toronto seamlessly.
Oh, of course, no question.
Yeah, without any problems whatsoever. So I can't wait till he comes back so we get a chance to talk to him.
Should be an excellent story.
He might have a story about a homeless man. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. Oh, homeless man? Are you talking about?
Well, Toronto's full of them, right?
Oh yeah, I know. I know a guy. I'm not gonna say who it is, but he's well known to the show. Let's just put it that way.
Okay.
Who always, every time we go to a big center where there's homeless people, and I'm actually the same way. I like to talk to the homeless people because I always find they have good stories. Like they have the best stories because there had to be some reason that brought them to where they are today, and a lot of times it is mental illness or something. But even still, the story that got them there is oftentimes very interesting. So I always, when I'm traveling, generally do talk to the homeless people in any city I travel to and find out what they're all about. And actually in Denver, I had some of the greatest experience with a homeless comedian, or he was a street comedian. So he would just come up to you and tell jokes. And so he opened with a joke. He opened with a joke and I liked it and I said, oh, that's good. And then he goes, I go, you got any more? And he goes, this is my big one. And he goes,
set you up for the big one. Eh?
Yeah. And then he goes, what do you call it? when Ray Charles and Stevie Wonder play tennis together.
What do you call it?
Endless Love. Yeah, that's what he said.
It's a killer.
Yeah,
it's a killer.
Great joke.
Good
Great
for
joke,
him.
right? So then I'm like, I start pulling out money, right? I pull out $5 to give the guy because I really enjoyed the time I spent with him.
Right.
And he saw that I was giving him $5, so he came up with more material, right? So he started telling me a bunch more jokes. All of them not very memorable because I don't remember them. And then
And he went with his best one right off the bat.
right, and I said to him, why didn't you close with the Endless Love joke? It was your best joke.
Yeah.
Right? And he goes, well, I didn't know I was playing that long of a set, he said.
He wasn't quite prepared.
He thought it was a one-line deal.
Yeah, I just thought he was doing
Didn't
that.
know you were into him.
Anyways, we're moving on. We got Derek Van Houten here as our bartender today, replaced my brother. So thank you for coming in, Derek. Derek, it's your birthday today.
It is.
What a guy.
Yeah, happy
What
birthday.
A guy.
Let's hear it for
Give
him.
that guy
A round of applause.
In on his birthday. Great
On his
bartender.
birthday, he's in here. And now I wanted to do something special for you because it is your birthday, and you came in to help me with my show. So I'm gonna. What happened was one time, a very special occasion at Live from the Dutch Hall. We had my great guest of the show, Ryan Vandenbush, former NHL enforcer, Chicago Blackhawk, and Pittsburgh Penguin. Ryan Vandenbush,
A real gentleman.
real gentleman. He came into the Live from the Dutch Hall to celebrate. I think it was my birthday show, and he brought in this crystal vase or this crystal. I can show it here. It's a nice crystal.
Like a little vat.
Yeah,
Yeah,
for you
a
audio
bottle.
listeners, it's a beautiful bottle.
It's like high-class stuff here.
Right, and I would like to. And what he said was when he gave this to me, he goes, "This is a very special bottle of booze. It was given to him by. See the New York Rangers logo on the front. It was given to him by Wayne Gretzky in his rookie year in the NHL.
Really?
And he brought this to. He said it was Wayne Gretzky gave this to every player on the team that he played with, a bottle of this booze, and he'd like to share a shot with me on my birthday show. And so I would like to share a shot with you for your
buddy.
birthday.
Sounds good.
If
Now, that's
can.
a treat.
But I'll give it to you because you're the
set you up.
bartender. Yeah. And do that. And then after we have a shot, we will get on with rallying the troops alive from the Dutch Hall.
Sounds
While
great.
you're pouring that, I'm going to get started on this. I just mentioned about my brother going to Toronto, being a Norfolk County guy, and I mentioned a little bit about how us people outside of the big cities are a little different. And so I was wondering, or I was, we were talking a little bit about the show because we've moved on to doing video now. We've kind of stepped it up a bit,
Yeah, we're moving up in the world.
right? And so I thought, well, what is our voice exactly? You know, like who are we? Who is Live from the Dutch Hall? Ready? What is that one? Oh, that's the cap of it. All right, let's do it, and then we'll get on with who we are. Well, Live from the Dutch Hall is a community of great people.
We're going to celebrate our friends and family.
Yeah, so everybody,
Why
what I
would we
want to
do
do is
that?
for happy birthday to Beeve,
Cheers.
and cheers.
Ooh, that's delightful.
So I want to tell you a little story about the internet, Michael.
I would love to hear it.
The thing I like about happy birthday, Derek.
Yeah, happy birthday, buddy.
The thing I like, it was delicious, wasn't it? Now the kicker to that story is Ryan Vandenbush is full of crap, and this was just a bottle that he did get when he played for the New York Rangers, but he's been filling it with swill over and over and feeding that same line to everybody that he goes to a party with.
Yeah.
And it works like a charm.
It sounds awesome.
I think you bought right into it.
I did. Hard.
And I don't know if you guys have bought into it too, but shame on you if you did. So, anyways, what I like about the internet, the best thing I like about the internet, even more than the pornography, is the fact that, well, it's a great thing.
It's a great thing.
But is the fact that everyone on the internet has a voice. Those people who generally, before the internet was invented, back when I was a man in my 20s, before the internet was invented, if you were too small of a group and you had something to say, you just were lost in the ether. You had no voice. There was no way to rally the troops. And now with the internet and the world's all connected together, everyone's able to have a voice.
Mm-hmm.
The voiceless get a voice. And at Live from the Dutch Hall, Michael? At Live from the Dutch Hall, we started out at one guy tricking his best friend into rambling an hour into the internet. And now we've turned into a team of listeners who are all working together to build something great. At Live from the Dutch Hall, we've become the voice of the voiceless.
Amen.
Live from the Dutch Hall, we're the voice of the people who live where the streetlights end.
Hallelujah.
We are the voice of those who are rural,
Testify.
those who are agricultural,
Hallelujah.
the voice of the factory worker, the disgruntled bankers, the commuters, the displaced farm kids, the small town girls.
lonely world.
We are those who could care less about Kanye and Kim.
Great ass.
Great.
We don't understand why pot's not legal.
Hands to Jesus.
We do understand that you have to kill a cow to eat a steak. We fix our own sinks, shovel our own driveways. We challenge governments, question religion, and we refuse to be fed what the large corporations are shoving in our face. We are live from the Dutch Hall.
Hell yeah, we are.
Hit the theme song, Mikey. All right, let's do it, everybody.
Yeah. Cheers.
Start off shaky. All right.
That couldn't have been any better.
What a great ending. What a great ending. Welcome everyone live from the Dutch Hall. What a great rendition of the theme song, Mike. Eh? We don't need charters at all.
Like I said, Dave's not much help, eh?
What he is he's the man that writes the music for the show. He's
Yes,
the man
he
that
is.
writes the music
He's a
for the
great
show.
writer.
He's key. He's key.
But performing the show,
Is
he's
he
good
a
at eating.
doer?
He's good at eating a banana on air. That's how we found
Or a
out.
pea.
Yeah. A lot of great things happening, everybody. Number one, I think for those of you who are looking for the Wheel of Filth and you're wondering how you can watch it, great news. For those of you who listened to it last week and you're looking for it, we have it all produced. It looks great. Rainey Media came in and did a terrific job.
Unbelievable, yeah.
And we're really proud to release the first episode. And we're going to be releasing it on our Live from the Dutch Hall YouTube channel this Monday, which I think is March 2nd.
That is exciting.
Monday, March 2nd is when the debut of the Live from the Dutch Hall YouTube
We all
channel.
become celebrities.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
Pine Grove celebrities.
Pine
yeah.
Grove celebrities,
yeah. Which we are the biggest thing in Pine Grove since the Adcock family.
Yeah, since the expansion.
Yeah, since they allowed-
Adcock family.
Since they allowed the subdivision on his farm.
That's right.
But we are so. Anyways, we already talked about my brother not being here. I had that saved for the beginning, but what we didn't talk about is charters.
Is our good friend David.
Now we have to mention him. I mean,
Of course you do.
He's a beloved co-host of the show. I think he's really rising to the top as being the most beloved co-host that we've had on the show. No offense, Mike.
No,
Valuable
that's okay.
asset,
No
yeah.
offense taken.
Yeah.
No offense taken at all.
Yeah, but charters. I mean, he really adds a lot to the show. But so this was questionable this week when we questioned his commitment, of course, when he didn't show up.
As we always do.
And I don't know if we want to admit it or not. Or if we want to admit why he's not here. But
Do we? Yeah.
well, you know what he told me.
What did he tell you, Peter?
He told me that his wife had to work afternoons, is what he said.
Oh.
And then I said, because I don't know if Dave wants everyone knowing this because he's a sensitive subject, but I'm gonna let him know the thing. I don't know if he's gonna be mad at me, but he has a lady, like he has a nanny. He has a nanny,
What does he?
right? I know Dave loves his children. Don't get me wrong; he likes to spend time with his
Of
children.
course he does.
That sounds awesome.
But he's got a nanny, right? So I said, well, don't you have a nanny for that? Like then she can watch them till the kids get home. And then he said, well, she's with them all day, you know. And I'm like, well, aren't your kids in school all day? Yeah, but she cleans her floors and she then does clean up around the house. I want to give her a break. I said, why don't you give her a break during the day when she's cleaning the floors? Then she clean the floors when you're watching your kids. It's like 201, right? You know.
Right.
Anyways, it wasn't a compelling enough argument.
It didn't work.
No, it didn't work. It didn't work. But I will tell you, his son, we tested out some technology. We want to get to the point where we can start involving feedback more and more from our listeners, because when I did talk about the internet earlier in the show, it is important to realize that the way I look at it, the internet, the way it works, the way when you build an audience from nothing, because I'm nobody, I'm not a
You're a Pine Grove celebrity.
right. And people don't generally follow former agricultural lenders, you know.
Former, what was your team's name? Your former hockey player on the team.
We were the Lone Rangers.
The Lone Rangers,
Yeah,
yes.
LOAN. It's
been established.
Lone Rangers. A good banker pun.
A play on words, if you will.
It's great. We had a horse on the front of our jerseys.
Oh,
yeah.
did you?
Oh yeah. One time I was playing, and that's an off-topic thing, but one time I was playing in a hockey game, and we were representing Farm Credit Canada, the company I worked for, and we were playing OAC 73, the year I was born, actually. And then
Really?
so these guys graduated in the year I was born.
Okay.
And they were a great hockey team.
Yeah.
Really tic-tac-toe. They've been playing together for years. They get together once a year. They have a reunion. They get all drunk and stuff like that.
Good old boys.
It's terrific, right? And so they're in a game with us. They're having a great weekend in Guelph, and we're playing in this tournament. And we get in a real heated game. They have a ringer. One of the guy's kids comes. Yeah, played junior hockey or something. He was a real ringer, but he was dirty. And some of our team we all have to go back to work in a bank. Like we're in.
Was he had the stick up high?
He was just really being a little gritty in the corners. Taking a little liberties on people.
Too aggressive. Yeah.
Yeah, a little too aggressive for a pickup game, a hockey tournament.
Come on, bud.
So tensions rose, right? And there was a few scrums.
Fisticuffs?
Yeah, surrounding it.
Really?
And I was in a scrum one time, and I'm not a violent man. I generally don't. But in hockey, sometimes, you get I'm a terrible hockey player. I never played growing up. Never, I don't know what I'm doing. So anyways, I remember being in the scrum, and this one guy's being real lippy, and I punched him in the face. It turns out it was an appraiser that I used.
It was.
He wasn't playing on our team. He was playing on like his the team he graduated from, but it was an appraiser that I need to use. Like, if he doesn't get the values high enough, I can't help out my customers, right? So I'm like, geez, I hope he didn't know who it was. But if you're listening and you were an appraiser at Farm Credit that got punched in the face by someone in that hockey game, I'm sorry.
Apologize.
I'm sorry.
You got in a little heat of the moment, but it had to happen.
Yeah,
right?
as soon as I punched him too, I recognized who it was, and I'm like, oh my goodness, I shouldn't have done that, right?
Yeah, sometimes when that hockey gear gets put on, people turn into different
You sure do, eh?
people. Yeah, it's crazy.
You've seen guys like that.
I know many people like that are great people off the ice that turn into friggin' Tasmanian devils on the ice. It's unbelievable.
Oh yeah,
They lose their mind.
Yeah, it's amazing how, and if you don't know a guy from offside the ice,
It's crazy.
Even your dad used to play hockey. We were at a funeral with your dad, right? A funeral with your dad, and a woman came up to me and said how the whole town of Norwich, Ontario, they hated your father.
Very hated. He would skate around the rink and hold his fist up. This is the stories I heard, and the crowd would boo him, and he would love it. He would take it in.
Yeah.
I wish I would have been there to see it.
I think hockey needs that. I think hockey needs a heel. I come from the wrestling perspective of any sport. Right. You need to have those characters like Sean Avery and that the crowd boos. They come to hate him. They come to
the villain.
Yeah, you need villains. You need to sell good versus evil and boost the sport up.
They have their own passion in the game, right?
Yeah. And I don't know why the commissioners of these sports, they always try to take that fun out of it. Like, it should be more wrestling. It should be more.
Yeah,
that's all we talk about when they're involved in the sport. Those type of characters, that's all we talk about, right? Now we can't. Now we got to talk about.
And then they fine them and punish them for it, and you're like, why would you fine him for that? That's my favorite part of the whole game, when a guy behaves like a jerk, when a guy says what he really thinks.
And it's a lot of people go to see that.
Yeah, it's strict. It's all carnival barking. It's the oldest trick in the book. You give the crowd what they want, you know. That's why everyone stands up for a fight, because they don't, and not so much for a goal,
Yeah.
But it seems like we're paying more money to watch a game and getting less in return.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, that was a big deal. The entertainment of the game, it's slowly dwindling out of sports in general, I think.
I agree with you. I think we should go one step further and make our own league of just like pure roller derby type hockey, where it's like full on like the slap shot, where you bring out the characters,
Dredge Dunlop and whatnot.
Yeah, you bring out like, what's the tomahawk, the Wahoo or McGee or whatever his name is.
Ogie
Oglethorpe. They all come in. That would be the best. I would go to that league every week. And I would say if you're like you could say that your players could still get suspended for fighting, but you'd have stage fighting. Like you'd say like, hey, you're going away on holiday with your family next week.
Let's have a good one.
Why don't you get in a fight this one, and you really go crazy, and then you'll get suspended, and you can go on your vacation.
Great 2 weeks.
And then come back, and then you'll be back after that, But what you're gonna have to do is you're gonna have to stomp on the guy's throat with your skate, We have like a whole like package. It's safe and stuff.
Don't worry, we got ketchup.
Yeah, I think that's what it should be. So, anyways, to get back to the program. We really want, this week after our first video broadcast, there's a bit of a buzz surrounding the show. So a few people were more engaged into the program than they normally are, and therefore feedback was bigger than always. Hey, Mike, do you got your guitar handy?
I sure do, bud.
Well,
what are we gonna do?
We want to dedicate some time to our listeners because they're so important to the show. And what I think we should do is flip into our segment feedback. We got feedback.
Okay then. We got feedback.
Welcome to Feedback. We got feedback, everybody. This week's feedback, we got feedback, is brought to you by our great friends at VG Meats. VG Meats has been a good supporter of our show. If you go to my website, livefromthedutchhall.com, and you click on the VG Meats banner, You can always get a bunch of great deals. Every month they're always changing the coupon, what you can bring into their stores in either Simcoe or Stony Creek. And you can get some great deals on some fine quality product that's produced by a great family of that really care about what they're doing. So
delicious meat and fantastic people.
Yeah, and when you go in there, make sure you spend some time and ask them questions behind the counter. Like if you want to know more about what you're eating, they are the perfect place to go.
Yeah, they take pride in their staff.
And they'll tell you everything that you need to know about what you're buying and what you're putting in your body. So
make it educational for you.
Oh yeah, I've had listeners go in there that haven't used the coupon, but they've still gone in there to check it out, and they've got back to me and said how much they've enjoyed going to the place, and thanks for the tip kind of thing. So I hope that VG Meats hears that and maybe throws me some pepperettes once in a while.
Yeah, VG.
Yeah.
Throw you a bone every now and then.
You know which one you are.
Yeah. Also, how you can support our show.
Maybe some jerky.
Yeah, I like jerky. I like a lot of things. So also you can support our shows. Go to my same website, and you scroll down a little bit. You're going to find some Amazon banners. If you want to subscribe to Amazon Prime, which has a lot of great programming, or you want to just do some regular Amazon shopping, go to my website first and click on the banner, and then all of your shopping will send a little bit of the money back to Live from the Dutch Hall, and that'll help us make this show better every week. We are almost ready to get a check from Amazon. It's really exciting. Yes. We, I think, are almost ready to tip the scales where they're going to send me a check. Wow. Maybe even 2 checks.
That's unbelievable.
It's an outside chance.
I'll tell you, people, I've done this. Just click on Pete's link. Go do what you got to do. Amazon's great. They deliver, and everything's on time. It's fantastic. Just do it. It's super easy. Help Pete out. Everybody's going to have a great time.
Right, and if you decide I don't like shopping, I just want to give money directly to Pete, there's always the option to go to the PayPal and just donate some money, and that'll help us try to make this show better and better. Yeah. Really, how this has happened, and I mentioned it poorly at the beginning because I was faltering over. Every time I try to prepare something, I trip all over it. But what I wanted to say was this show started out just me and Charters doing nothing, right? Like just doing garbage on one table, and then. Now, the listeners started giving us ideas for guests. The listeners started giving us, sending in like ideas for different bits we can do. Mm-hmm. And then we had a film crew come in that offered to make it into a video podcast. So we have a lot of people that are dedicating their time to us. We got a sound guy, Justin Bergman, great guy we've never showcased on the show. Let's hear about him. Yeah, there you go. You didn't miss that one, Justin. You didn't miss that one. Yeah. He nailed that one. I don't know where the applause was for Beef over there. But anyhow,
I almost hit a milestone here.
But anyways, we have we have a lot of great support from a lot of great people who listen to the show one way or another, and they end up, I don't know what reason, but they see something in the show, and they've all contributed a little bit that's made the show better and better, and it makes me really excited to see where the show's going in the future. And this week was a real turning point for the amount of feedback we got. And I'd like to read a few of them. Some of it was just because they really enjoyed the episode. The first bit of feedback I got was from Willie Van Dyke.
Oh, Willie.
Yeah, my father, Willie Van Dyke, yeah.
Supports a beautiful duster when he does it.
He hasn't had that duster in a long, long time
a real shame,
because he was I don't think he liked the gray in it, eh?
Oh,
which is he's a vain man. He's a really pretty boy.
Good looking man.
He would kill me if he's gonna be really mad at me if he hears me call him a pretty boy. And he can still kick my butt too. So I gotta watch.
There's no kidding about that.
But Willie's a great listener in the show, and I don't think he's ever been named listener of the week, but he should be. He's in my eyes, he always is. And he gave this feedback: some great wit displayed by that Van Houten boy.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that's what it was. So a little shout out to Perry. He thought that, or not Derek. To Perry, to Derek, the Beef. Perry's your dad, but he really loved your line. He said line of the night was your line about you have to look down and see what you eat or whatever. Yeah. And he loved that line, and he said that was his favorite part of the show. So that's Willie Van Dyke's feedback. Rick Mastronardi of Kingsville, Ontario. You might remember him from the show Live from Leamington, our first road show we did in 2015.
I do remember him. Great show.
Yeah, he sent me some feedback, and this is what he sent. Fornicate. Great show. I nearly laughed my testicles off. Hades. At one point, I thought I was about to defecate myself. Fornicating right, is what he said. So thank you to Rick for that feedback. I think he got the premise.
Yeah, he stayed with it between the lines. Well done.
Yeah, kept us TV friendly for the feedback, which gets into the next point. Oh, if you wonder how you can give us feedback, you know how you can do it? You can do it anyways. I take text. If you meet me on the street and you see me and you want to talk about it, I'll take that.
Homeless guy from Denver.
If he listens to he can listen to the show. Yeah, if he had a phone. But we saw a guy today. We were just we were in Turkey Point at the marina. And a guy came up to me and said he listened to the show in an ice hut while he was ice fishing. He listened like 3 or 4
A few
episodes.
episodes, he said,
Yeah.
yes.
He was in a captive audience, and the person he was with made him listen to the episode. That's what it was. And they had nowhere to go.
Had to.
Yeah. And what he said, what did he say at the end? He said, he goes, "You made a little great gig for yourself."
Yeah,
is what he
you do.
said.
Yeah, that's what he
Yeah.
said.
I'm like, thank you. I take that. It pays very poorly.
It's paying nothing.
Yeah, nothing at all. So, anyways, but that's how it works, you know. If you want to if you want to give me feedback, you can give it to me on the street. You can give it to me at livefromthedutchhall@gmail.com if you want to send me an email. If you want to just follow me on Twitter, and I'll follow you back, and when you can send me a direct message on Twitter, it's @Dutch Hall on Twitter. And you can also go on Facebook, like the Live from the Dutch Hall Facebook page, and send me a Facebook Messenger, and you can give your feedback that way. Or if you know my phone number, you can text me. So there's a whole bunch of different ways to get about, and we're working on getting Skype and FaceTime,
Yes.
and so we can also do that. Because I do think as the show continues to grow, and people start to be able to communicate more with us, and we start to build the community of like-minded people, then we're going to have a lot more fun together, because the show's more what we all want to watch and what we all want to be a part of. And I think that's the best way to do media nowadays. I don't think that, my personal opinion is that the old way of, like, say, Seinfeld, where you get the whole world as your audience,
Right.
or whatever, are done. And I think that now everyone can kind of be more tailor-made with the internet to what they want as the consumer. So they're going to find the voices that they like to hear. And therefore, the people who like it will find us, and the people that don't like us will find a lot of other stuff that they can like, you know?
Whatever you want.
But I think that the people that you do have, you got to take better care of, because they're really you got to really appreciate that they spend their time listening to your nonsense.
And
right?
that's what the revolution is all about.
That's what it is, you know, just that we respect what these guys are doing, and that we're all kind of in this together. So what I did last week was I got myself into a little bit of trouble, which I've only done once before. I've always welcomed trouble. I always welcome feedback, negative or positive. I like negative feedback. So I'm now going to get into some more negative
You
feedback.
got to improve somehow, right?
The other side.
Huh? Yeah, I got to show. I'm not going to hide from my listeners, and even if they hate me. So last week the subject of controversy was my choice of language. What I did, so we had a little bit of a language police.
Ooh.
It caused. If you listen to the audio show, you'll hear the kind of the altercation between myself and Abby Van Dyke. It was a bit of it got a bit heated at points. It was a bit confusing to me at a lot of points.
I think it was confusing to a few people.
Right. So I was taken aback by it. I know a lot of times I have to put my emotions aside to know that people like the controversy and the awkwardness and the tension that arises from it. And some people find that funny. I find it to be, like, very stressful and uncomfortable for everyone in the room, right? But it goes over well sometimes, right? And I would deliver some great lines. If you look at the Wheel of Filth, she delivered some great material. She really was an asset. But in the one thing in particular that I said, I was trying to educate our listeners about premature ejaculation.
Nice subject.
Nice subject, right? Yeah.
Education. That's what it's all about.
Right, I'm trying to help out people. That's a real problem for a lot of people. And
it happens.
And the bar was raised so much by the girls, who were quite adamant that anything less than them being perfectly satisfied with you is considered to be premature.
Exactly. It was a great question. What is mature?
Well, I'm saying if you put in a good hour, and like, I can't consider that premature.
No.
For
God's sakes, what are we, machines?
Yes, we have to have limits, you know. I'm not a robot. Anyways, but I guess it's like once you can sit there and robotically say, "Are you satisfied, madam?"
Yeah, exactly.
Right? That's crazy. Anyhow,
right.
I mentioned, because this was not a written line. It was an improv line. It was just a line that came off the top of my head.
Mm-hmm.
I was trying to create an image, some sort of imagery that would somehow you're at the point in time in life where you are ready to premature ejaculate, right? You're
raring to go.
Yes, you're full of excitement. You want to kill it, right? So I was thinking of horrible imagery, and what I did was
to not kill it. Yeah.
The person in question, the hypothetical person in question, was trying to get himself to stop prematurely ejaculating, and what I did was I made him lose his erection completely and then sit in the corner and cry about horrible imagery.
You went far.
I went a little too far with my choice of language, right? And I think if you look at the tape, if you look back at the tape, or you look
the tail of the tape,
you listen to the footage, what you're going to find is that I said the line, and I said it 3 times, which was dead babies. I'm going to come right and say it. Dead babies, dead babies, dead babies. I was thinking, Terrible. I'm admitting it's terrible. It was
Yes.
something that came off my head. I thought of the worst imagery I could. Right? I did.
Right. The worst thing.
You said, you were sitting right there. You said,
I
grandma's
said
underpants.
Right.
Grandma's
That's what
underpants.
came to me.
Right away, I turned to you. Good, Mike. Better than mine. Mine was horrible.
Right.
Mine was horrible. It was too much. Right? Anyways, she got language policey on me and started to go and arguing the same point over and over again that she didn't like the line. Right? I was like, I wasn't crazy about the line either. I don't know if and so there was a lot of people who came to Abby's defense on feedback. We got feedback. Yeah, I'll read a couple of them too.
Why wouldn't you? It's only fair.
Right. This one lady wrote in. She said, listen to some of the podcast. Gotta agree with. She wrote this to Abby.
Okay.
So Abby sent it. Was nice to
A
send
love
it to me.
letter, if not.
She said she gave the feedback to Abby. So some of the ways you can give feedback, we got feedback, is to actually give it to Abby as well.
Apparently.
Yeah. So he goes, listen to some of the podcasts. Gotta agree with you on the dead baby. And she said the SH word, which I don't do.
That's
Not in
unacceptable.
Lent. Not in
Of
Lent.
course you don't. Praise Jesus.
Well, I kind of stopped listening there, and you stood your ground, right? So she was very complimentary of Abby. The next person said, okay, I have to say, listen to the podcast, and I totally agree with you on the dead babies issue. So that does insinuate that they had a discussion prior to her listening to the show.
But she had to write it anyways. Just to...
So I had it, yeah. That's not even cool. Not to mention the fact that this week a local Toronto boy was found dead, right?
Oh my
So what I think...
How can you have known that, Pete? You ignorant person.
Well, I watched the news story. I didn't correlate the two together. Silly me.
Yes, you are ignorant.
And so I think then maybe the wrong impression was given that I'm pro dead baby, which I am absolutely not.
Obviously not.
You know, not in
You
life.
took it in the wrong context.
That was a bit taken out of context. I think it was taken out of
Totally
context,
out of
right?
context.
However, I'm gonna assure you that I find the thought of that imagery, which I won't even repeat again. That was the last time I said
That's it. Let's not say it anymore.
because I know it upsets my listeners.
Apparently.
Right, and I actually talked to my neighbor, which drove around a pickup truck, and I told him about the controversy, and he said, "That's pretty rough, Pete." He said, "That's pretty rough." He said,
He agrees with the girls, doesn't he?
he mentioned an actual other incident about another baby who had passed away, and I'm like, we can't go into history and mention all the specific tragedies, right? I'm not.
You weren't that deep.
Right. I mean, I'm not going after those people who have like, leave me alone, for heaven's sakes. Anyways, I'm gonna have to watch it because people are crazy. Last time I said the Italians killed Jesus, that one I think, okay, I had to rectify that one too. I'm learning here.
Yeah,
that's why we have
all
feedback.
Education back and forth, both ways. Right?
I could have said something a little nicer. I did the one thing about if you thought about Grandpa bending over to put the plug in the bathtub,
then you probably would have been okay.
right? That would make me not. You wouldn't want to ejaculate at that point in time.
No, not at all.
Right.
Not at all.
You wouldn't want to do that. So that's what I should have done that. So anyways, thank you listeners for that feedback. But I also have also people who had given me feedback. I got one more I'm going to read just as the flip side of that.
Okay.
And that was, this is a quote, Abby Van Dyke should never be allowed back on the show again. That was the other side of it. So just so we know, there's two takes
Two sides to the
of that
tale,
story.
isn't there?
Yes. We had we had a lot of people that were less than complimentary. What the thing about Abby is she's a polarizing figure. You love her or you hate her. You love her at times, and at times you do not. But that crowd, that's what my audience at least is telling me. So I'm having a hard time with it. So that brings us to the next segment, which is our listener of the week. We have a great listener of the week. Give me a drum roll on this guy before I announce who the listener of the week is. Listener of the week is Scott Sherman from Delhi, Ontario. That's it for
Scotty! He's on fire!
Yes. Now Scott Sherman was he gave me the longest feedback I've ever gotten from a listener. And what I did,
small novel?
Yeah, and I felt very guilty after last week's show because I did a show of questionable material, I'd say, and I looked over there. I couldn't help out of the corner of my eye. I tried to ignore the fact that I'm being filmed and everything, but I couldn't ignore out of the corner of my eye. I did see a young 16-year-old boy that was watching what I was saying, and I didn't know how much of what I was saying he had actually was learning from me for the first time. Like, I just don't know. I don't want to be that guy. Right. So right away I sent a message to his father, who I know is a listener of the show, and I said, I hope I didn't screw up your boy. That's all I said.
Just a heads up.
Just a heads up. So he gave me a message back. He goes, hey, Pete, not at all. He loved it and thought it was really funny. He liked you and Abby and said that you guys were funny and had lots of laughs. His exact words were, I couldn't believe they kicked her out when she swore she was so good, and he also commented about the plum at the end. He thought the Wheel of Filth was cool / good. Oh, and the family porn comment was his favorite.
Was it?
Yeah, which is a great line.
Very
I forgot
nice.
about that. Yeah. That was a you porn.
Yeah.
Being the family porn
Family
site.
porn program.
Yeah, I don't know how that comes about.
No.
So,
Where does that fall into?
trust me, he talked about the show for a half hour this morning over the phone and how funny it was. He's a solid kid and understands what it's all about. I myself listened to the show twice this morning and while at work, and it was really good. He listened twice.
That's awesome.
Yeah, great listener. That's why he's listener of the week.
Yeah.
Very, very funny. One thing though, when I was a kid, I remember the day that I was told there was no Santa Claus, no Easter Bunny or Tooth Fairy, and now I'll remember the day when I learned that there may not be a Haitian dwarf. Boo. And now I experience the same feeling. I suspected so, but hope there always was one. So he suspected there was no Haitian dwarf.
Really?
All of you guys share good chemistry on the show, and when the guests are on, it's always a great interview. Never know what will be said next. Lucky you found your calling, Pete. I look forward to seeing it on TV. Keep up the great work. So thank you to Scott Sherman. Let's hear it for him.
Our boy Scott.
Oh, we'll play that one. That leads us right into the Haitian dwarf.
Here's our friend.
Yeah.
Thanks, buddy.
Part sound, please. There we go. Haitian dwarf. So that led us into the Haitian dwarf because that was it. Like Scott referred to in his feedback that the Haitian dwarf legend was
Myth or legend?
was told that it was a myth.
Okay.
Right? And I was shocked at the comment. Actually, I didn't even really process it. It bounced off me when it happened that someone suggested they knew who the Haitian dwarf was. So I right away said, we have to do something about this. So I asked Abby after the show, who do you think it is? Right? The answer she gave was ridiculous. I think that what I did was, back in the day, at the beginning of the show when the Haitian dwarf started, people used to always ask me if he's real and who he is and stuff like that, and I would throw out different names. I would just throw out different names,
Yeah,
like
just have some fun
I'd say,
with it.
oh, it's my buddy from college,
Right.
like Adrian or whatever. I'd say that. I mean, I told people that. I'd say it's
Good Portuguese friend.
yeah, it's like this guy's brother or that guy's brother, or like someone that's like kind of like once removed. You make up a name,
Right.
just to get them to stop telling you. So I think I probably told Abby a name, and then she thought it was real. Well, what happened? The truth of the matter is, I don't have a clue.
Yeah, how can you throw those accusations out without solid proof?
Well, that's the thing. Well, she may have got it from me. That's what I'm thinking.
Oh.
The thing of it is, though, if you would think that I'm going to tell a person who has repeatedly come on my program and drank too much, repeatedly come on my program and regretted the things that she said.
Yeah, well, does she?
And I'm gonna. She did. Yeah.
Oh, she's admitted.
Oh, yeah,
to it.
she's
Okay.
admitted.
Okay.
And she's gonna come on the pro. I'm gonna give her, like, if I knew who the Haitian dwarf was, that's like really sensitive information. I'm gonna give that away to the drunk girl who's gonna say anything that comes into her head. I'm not that foolish that I'm gonna load her with that sort of material.
No.
So I'm saying I'm going to tell people right now, from my perspective, I don't know the Haitian dwarf, don't know who he is, and don't know if he's real or not. But I know I get feedback every week from the guy, and it says on the top Haitian dwarf, and he has a Twitter.
Right.
He has a
Simple
Twitter.
as that.
He has a Twitter. If you want to follow Haitian dwarf on
I follow
Twitter,
him. He has a Twitter account. It's
yeah,
real.
at Haitian dwarf. He wrote a tweet right after he first listened to the episode, and it said at ABVD24, which is Abby's Twitter handle.
Okay.
Sometimes words hurt more than Velcro. And that was how he responded to it. And I know he was upset, so I worried for him. And then came the feedback.
Okay.
He responds on iTunes. He goes on iTunes, listens, and then he actually goes on the iTunes thing and provides feedback
Does
that
he
way
give you
every
some
week.
Stars?
Yeah, so if you want to go on there, you can see the Haitian Dwarf's feedback every week, and whoever else wants to reach out to me that way on iTunes. This week he gave me 5 stars on iTunes, which always helps me out.
5 stars.
5 stars.
There we go. Good boy, Haitian dwarf.
He says he enjoyed them. Oh, thank you. One fart
That's
sound. Yeah, hot crowd for him. Enjoyed the Wheel of Filth immensely. Learned a few tricks as well. I'm having an identity crisis, though. Am I actually not real? Am I merely a figment of Mr. Van Dyke's imagination? I feel like the haters out there would have you believe that. However, there is nothing that could be further from the truth. I will continue to support the show, no matter how many people try to slander my name. I believe in the Dutch Hall. Let's hear it for him right there.
It's a revolution,
Yeah,
baby.
all right.
It's a revolution.
Called ours by the Haitian Dwarf. And I want to end feedback. We got feedback with that one. So if you guys want to continue to give me feedback, there's ways to do it. You can reach out to me at Live from the Dutch Hall on Twitter. Dutch Hall on Twitter, Live from the Dutch Hall on Facebook, or you can give me email at livefromdutchhall@gmail.com. And you know what? I forgot to announce it, but it's a really exciting time to announce our new sponsor for this. To end feedback, we got feedback.
That's fantastic.
And it brings us into the sponsor for our big guest that we're having today. Our big guest.
Coming in hot.
So we're going to go with our new sponsor for the show, Live from the Dutch Hall, has lucky to have Try Thai Tonight. Try Thai Tonight is a service that provides authentic Thai cuisine that's prepared right in your own kitchen.
Sounds delicious.
Yeah, you invite in Chef Jean. She comes into your kitchen and she prepares authentic Thai food for you, and it's delicious. They came in on Sunday to our house. Chef Jean took my daughter Caitlin, who has just had the best time in the world. Like she ended up.
Imagine.
She just couldn't believe it. Like she's told me repeatedly, even after they had left and she was ready for bed, like. That was just terrific. I had so much fun.
Chef Jean.
So, I mean, it's one thing if you want to have a dinner party with your friends and invite them down, have some delicious Thai food and learn how to cook it after for yourself.
Really?
It's a great meal to serve. It's delicious. It's so good. It's so tasty.
Good thing she didn't go over to the neighbor's house. Might have been stuck there for a week or two.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he would enjoy that service, too.
Really?
I hope he's listening to the program. You can have her over. It'd be great.
Go, buddy.
But it's also great if you have young kids that are interested in the kitchen, because the more I feel the more kids learn about cooking, the more they're apt to eat a good healthy diet, and the more they're apt to like pay attention to what they're eating, and hopefully not become an unhealthy slob that's being force fed corn, by like everyone else is, right? So, anyways, I'm really happy to have on Try Thai Tonight, and if you want to, you can look for Try Thai Tonight on Facebook. Or you can go to www.trythaitonight.com and see if Chef Jean can come up to your house. And I tell you, it comes highly recommended by me. It was a great service, and I would recommend it to anyone out there.
I can't wait to try it.
Delicious.
Let's have a hand for that.
A hand for Try Thai Tonight. Yeah. All right. Now, without further ado, we'd like to invite in our big guest today. Our guest tonight is Dean Rainey, owner and creative director from Rainey Productions, right?
Rainey Media.
Rainey Media.
Rainey
Darn
Media.
it, I ruined it right off the bat. Let's start again. I'll go. Our guest tonight is Dean Rainey, owner and creative director of Rainey Media.
Cue the sound effect.
Yeah.
Thank you. No.
We got a big introduction for you, Dean. Dean is a broadcast creative with over a decade of international advertising and television production experience. He has produced and directed television shows for Fox, Discovery Channel, CNN, and Fox Movies. With the advertising world, he has directed television and online campaigns for multinational brands such as Sony, National Geographic, Clean and Clear. What's that?
The face wash.
Face wash?
Face wash
it's
from
like a
Johnson
pad?
Johnson. Yeah, no, it's just there's a scrub, maybe.
Oh, makes you look nice.
Yeah.
All right. And Samsung, Singapore Airlines, Hankook tires?
Hancock tires.
Hancock. I shouldn't say
Can we
that.
say that?
Not on, not since TV. Not since, and Kraft. Originally from Norfolk County, Dean spent most of his life living in cities like Toronto, Orlando, Hong Kong, only to meet his wife, Jean, and have two wonderful kids, and return to Norfolk County to start Rainey Media. His latest project is the podcast that's taking the world by storm, live from the Dutch Hall. Let's welcome our guest, Dean Rainey, to the show.
Yeah, all right.
Thank you. Thank you. Great to be here in the Dutch Hall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you've no fart sound for you too. Played it right up to the end. That's a sign of respect for a new guest to the Dutch Hall.
Appreciate it. Yeah.
So Dean, you're a Waterford boy. Like you're a full blown Norfolk County boy, right?
Born and raised. Yeah.
You grew up in Waterford, Ontario. Is
I
that
did.
right?
Yeah.
And you played baseball with a young Dave Charters, the rooster of the show.
I did. So it was funny to discover your podcast and tune in and hear Dave's voice there, who I hadn't seen in like 25 years. Yeah.
And so you knew Dave when he was in his prime as being a real dickhead. Eh?
Real classic
Yeah.
dick.
Probably the same shape as well, no?
So did you recognize him when you heard him on the show, or did you think something had happened to him? He became a shell of what he once was.
No. He's calmed down a little bit there. Yeah. No, he's a gentle guy now. He seemed very zen-like when I listened to him on the show. Yeah, very different because.
Yeah, what I think he had to do with four children and
It's a new word.
Makes sense.
Yeah, with four kids and his panache for the Jesus Christ, he really does have to find a space to find maybe a happy place to get through it all, right? And I think that's what Dave's done. It's really calmed him down in life.
Yeah. Different than when we were growing up together. I think he told us the first racist joke that we heard, and I can't recall it now, but it was shocking.
Well, I'll tell you,
good.
that's out of his system.
Is
That's
it?
completely out of his system. He loves all people, Dave Charters. I'll say a lot of bad things about Dave, but he's that's one thing he's not, is a racist. He loves all people in the world, Dave Charters. But that
I think back in the day, he liked a good joke.
Yes.
The
joke won, and Two Live, he was a big fan of Two Live Crew.
Yeah.
Two Live Crew, I mean, when we first heard that was like blow your mind, like that really did. We never heard anything like that before. So I don't remember Charles being taken with that because I've known him since he's been a little boy. Anyhow, it was great that you have that. So then you ended up growing up in Waterford. Then you end up, when you're done high school and you move on to become an adult, you look at how you're going to like pursue your dreams or your aspirations in life, and you decided to apply to film school. Is that right?
That's right. Yep. So I went down to Orlando. I mean, I just had to get out of Waterford. We didn't even have cable at the time, right? I don't. Do you have cable in Pine Grove?
No, we don't. No.
Okay. So expect the kids to leave quickly.
Yeah.
As soon as they can.
Well, we have internet now.
Okay,
It's
that
okay internet.
We're lucky to have internet.
Yeah, we need
Spotty.
better internet. Yeah,
it's rough justice.
But it's like you do understand that, especially as a young person, you kind of see a little bit of the world for long enough, and then you're like, oh, maybe there's a bit more out there for you. So you went to Orlando instead of a Canadian university, right? You decided to go to Orlando. What brought you to there for that film school?
Well, I just thought the States had a sort of a leg up on sort of entertainment, right? It's the biggest entertainment market in the world, and if I went to Orlando, maybe it would help my career or something. But it was a disastrous year there. It was horrible. Orlando is a cultural void. Cultural waste. Oh yes, if you don't work for Disney, you don't work. So not a lot of culture there, not a lot of art, not a big art scene or anything like that. But I survived it. I got through, met some good friends and that, and then as soon as school was over, I came right back to Toronto. Well, came back to Canada and went to Toronto.
And then what did you do there?
I slugged it out there. To start, I was volunteering on film shoots and that, and then coming back during the week and working on my parents' ginseng farm.
Oh yeah.
I'd spend the weekends. Spend the weekends in Toronto looking for work and volunteering on shoots and that, and then coming back and grinding it out, moving shade and stuff like that. So.
Yeah, and then they put you in sales.
yeah, they kind of did. Because when I was living in Toronto, I was living in Spadina and Bathurst, which is just on the Spadina and College, which is just on the edge of Chinatown. So I thought, well, Dad, there's all these Chinese people right here, and you're going ginseng. What if I see if I can go out and sell it, be a hawker? Sell it on the street.
Yeah.
And so my dad loaded me up with Ziploc bags of pounds of ginseng, and I went up there and I would get a little cart that I would carry the stuff down to the Spadina and Dundas, and I'd be on the street corner and I'd yell out in Chinese because I had some Chinese friends and that, so I knew a little bit of Chinese, and I would say Canada Yun Sum Yao Pang Yao Lang, which means the Chinese Canadian ginseng, very beautiful, very good price, and I would sell it, and that was sort of my cash flow while I was getting started.
Yeah, be selling drugs. Right?
Beats it. But I did get busted one time. We were out there on the streets, and there's a bunch of other older Chinese women that would be selling vegetables that they grew in their backyards and that. But it's illegal to sell anything. But I didn't know that. I just thought, well, hey, anything goes in Chinatown, right?
Right.
It doesn't. No. And it was Chinese New Year, and I'd been selling for a couple of weeks, and I was doing okay. And then all of a sudden, I was really, really busy because it was Chinese New Year, and people were buying all kinds of, looking at the product and everything. And then I got a tap on my back, and I turned around, and it was the Toronto Metropolitan Police officer.
Really?
He's like, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm selling ginseng." He's like, you can't do that. And I was like, but it's Chinatown. Doesn't anything go? He's, no.
That's the reserve you're thinking of.
Yeah. I guess so.
A little closer to home.
Yeah.
So in my defense, a bunch of my customers said, "Oh, it's Chinese New Year's. He's just trying to sell. It's lucky. Let him go. Come on, let him go." So he's like, "Well, you have to have a permit. I'm worried that this is stolen ginseng." So I pulled up my dad's business card and I was like, "No, we grow it. It's direct from the farm."
Yeah.
Yao Pang, Yao Lang. It's...
Yeah.
And he was like, "Okay, I'll let you off with a warning now, but I don't want to see you down here." What had happened was one of the proper ginseng stores or herb stores had sort of called the police because they were scared that it was stolen ginseng.
Right.
So.
And they would have been the same ones that would have held up your permit application if you would try to get one.
Yeah,
probably,
absolutely. Yeah. So I didn't even bother applying.
Great example of Norfolk County hustlers, though, eh?
At their best.
When you get out of the big city, there's more and more of a need if you want to live down in the sticks. You know that they're taking away our infrastructure, so you have to be more of a hustler to figure out how to make it work, right? And even now with Rainey Media, you still have to figure out how to make it work, right? If you want to live at home, I imagine.
It's when we moved back, quit my job in Hong Kong working for Fox, National Geographic Channel, which is owned by Fox, and I quit and we moved back, and I said to my wife, "We're gonna have to live in Toronto. That's the bottom line. I'm in television, and that's where all the television jobs are." And she's like, "Oh, but I really love Waterford." I'm like, okay, well, we'll go and we'll stay with my parents, but quickly you'll see that there's nothing going on there.
Right.
But we moved, and we had a first year where we struggled to find work. I'd be going into Toronto and I'd be having interviews, and it'd be great offers. And we'll make something happen. Yeah, we want to work with you. Blah blah blah. And then just no deals closed.
Yeah.
So I ended up working at Serafina's in Simcoe, waiting on tables.
Oh yeah.
And working for the census, Canadian Census.
Oh, I've
I
done
did
that before.
Yeah. And then struggling, and we were down to our last $500, and I'm like, what have I done? I've quit a very good job in Asia. We had everything there. We have a 2-year-old with us, and I said, well, my wife, who's Thai, I said, well, you can cook. What if you started catering? Yeah. So she went out and we did the catering gigs together, and then as people knew that I was kind of back and what I did, I got a few calls about doing some videos and stuff like that, and then I hooked up with a friend of the family's who was a marketing guy, and I just started going out and shooting with him, and he had a charity. I went to Kenya with him, and then people in Toronto found out I was back. I went to the Arctic and did some promos up there for a company, and then I just said, well, I guess I'm doing this, so let's start a business.
What was that like on the Arctic?
It was surprisingly, it was daylight all the time. 24 hours, yeah.
So you're out there in the summertime.
Yeah, and I said to my cameraman, okay, we'll stop shooting when the sun goes down. 10 days later.
Yeah.
People of the Arctic start listening to Live from the Dutch Hall.
Yeah. What was it?
In Antarctica, they don't like it.
They don't like us. They don't like us. Yeah. We've never had a listen from Antarctica, and it's I've been trying to promote the market. But I don't think they like my sort of humor. And in Antarctica, a very conservative crowd.
Very conservative. Yeah.
Okay.
More of the penguin crowd. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe they do listen down there, but they're doing it through a different source. Maybe they're getting through Stitcher. I don't get those hits.
Oh,
through
you're not
Stitcher.
getting the numbers. Yeah.
So
the numbers
there's a chance, that I'm just getting not quite the right stats. So when you went to, what brought you to Asia then, the first time?
When I got back to Toronto, and I was struggling for quite a while, and then I thought, I don't have enough education. So I'm going to go back to university, and I'm going to study something because my education was very technical. It was like the gear and the equipment and that, but the technology changes. So I really wanted to get a fundamental education, like in story and literature and writing. So I went back to York, and I studied English Lit. And while I was there, I volunteered, or I worked at a Chinese TV station that was up in Toronto. Because so many Chinese people up there, they have their own media and everything. Because I had an inkling through my dad's ginseng and meeting the buyers and the movers and the shakers and that maybe I want to see Asia. I want to go over and see the rest of the world. So I started working at this TV station up there, and I did a couple documentaries for them that they needed to do in English, and I got the gig to do the directing, and so that was great. And then everyone was like, oh, why don't you go to Hong Kong? If you go to Hong Kong, you'll get a job. So I had a couple of friends that were over in Hong Kong, so I packed a suitcase and I told my family, look, if I'm going over for 2 weeks, if I get a job, I'm going to stay. And that's what happened. I ended up staying.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
And then how'd you get the job with News Corp?
Oh, I was over there for 6 years at that time. I had worked for Discovery Channel, and I'd done a couple of years at CNN as well. I realized news is not what I want to do. I'm not really interested in exploiting people's tragedies and disasters and stuff like that.
Right.
Yeah.
And that was through CNN, or
that was through CNN, and then I actually quit CNN and moved back to Canada, thinking, okay, I've had enough of Asia. I'll go back and give it a try. And then got back here in November and was like, no, this is not where I want to be. As a single guy, the winter is just brutal here. And so I did like 5 months here, and then I was like, okay, I'm going back. So then I traveled around Asia, I trained Vietnamese journalists.
Oh, really?
He did some work in Thailand, and then a buddy was at News Corp, National Geographic Channel, and he said, come on board with us, and we'll let you shoot commercials and stuff like that. So I went and worked with them.
So you were in the belly of the beast at that point in time. You were in then with the big evil News Corp, like that big corporation, like
huge.
So you're talking about them changing probably everything you've done to that point in time. There's more like hands in the pot, more middle managers mucking it up, more like politics.
And that pressure for just numbers and growth, just unrealistic, and just, one example that I have is that we had a marathon charity run, I guess would be like charity marathon, I guess, in the Philippines, because we represented all of Asia, and head office was in Hong Kong where I worked. And they said, okay, we're going to do this marathon, and we're going to raise a bunch of money for people that need housing. So, this is great. So we did all these promos and everything, and they had the event, and then the debrief email came in, and they're like, oh my gosh, we raised $200,000 for this. All of it will go to our bottom line, except for a small portion which we'll give to housing.
All right.
And I was like, oh my goodness, like, are you serious? Like, we did all this promotion that's a charity event, and then this money went to our bottom line.
Yeah.
There's just a lot of that, and I just didn't feel very good about that.
Yeah.
And then
It's like it's like a lot of those things, eh? Like the NFL's, like, you know how they do remember Pink in October?
Yeah.
Well, that's the same thing. Like how 1% of the money
much
goes
goes
back
to-
to the cause. You know, it's all meant to make them look good, but then the actual good they're doing is only after they've made their shareholders happy. Then you can talk about
Totally, right.
1% for the human element of it is about right for those guys. you know?
yeah.
And I don't know if I said that in my opening, but one of the lines for the Dutch Hall anthem was, "We put people before money," and I forgot to.
It's easy when you don't have any money, though, right?
Yeah. You can easily put. Yeah, it's true. That's why the best people are the poor people. That's they're always the nicest people to talk to. And you get a little bit when you get a little bit more to protect, you get to be more of a jerk, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you got to turn around, though. You've got to turn around. You've got to give. You've got to give, because when you give, you get. You definitely get.
So I like what happened with you, because you end up meeting your lovely wife. That's a big blessing. Like, you go travel all around the world, and then you end up meeting the woman of your dreams, right?
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
To travel halfway across the world at the opposite ends and to find the woman that you're meant to be with, that's a really special thing. Like, that's a really incredible turn of events, I think, right?
I think so, absolutely. Yeah.
And so then you meet her, you start a family together, and then you realize that your personal ambitions for your career and stuff like that look a little different. Is that fair to say? Like,
Absolutely.
Like,
Yeah.
all of a sudden, once you have those little kids and you're thinking, okay, maybe my success or the money that I make isn't as important as maybe giving this kid a nice childhood. You know what I mean?
We're spending time with them. Yeah. I mean,
yeah.
I was working long hours. I was on the road all the time because we had to do shoots in China, Thailand, Malaysia, and so you're flying in and out of Hong Kong all the time. And then you're coming home and you're just angry.
Yeah.
You're just angry all the time at the politics that's going on in the corporation and just the ridiculousness of it all. Like, I just want to make good work and I want to make that client happy, but there's just so much other bull crap that's
Yeah,
going on
yeah.
that you get home and you're like, oh, I can't do this anymore.
Oh, I think the same thing. When I was working in my banking, like I was saying, I love my customers. I like doing the work. I knew I could do a lot of good by helping out people because I gave them a chance where maybe other people wouldn't, because they were too busy trying to do what the boss wanted them to do, instead of trying to figure out what your customer wanted you to do, you know? And it's more, I got so much pride from helping the customer, but then I kept getting kind of crapped on by the people as I'm doing it. You know?
Corporate machine.
Yeah, and I could never get over that sort of hypocrisy of how I'm doing good. Why am I getting in trouble for it? You know, like, people like me, and like I'm helping people. Isn't that what we want to do here? You know?
No, it's not what they want to do.
Yeah, it's
no.
it's money.
Money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you come over here and you end up following something that's greater than the traditional money and stature and stuff, and you did it for a greater good, the good of your family and the good of your marriage and your children, and you moved back home.
Yeah, I mean, my parents are getting older, and I wanted to be close to them. We had the young one now, so you just want to be around family and that. And even when we were here, and we were in Waterford, and we were living in the coach house above my parents' garage, and I'd be going into Toronto on job interviews or whatever, and I was just like, yeah, I don't know about that job. I don't know if I want to move everybody into Toronto for just another job that I have to put up with all the crap kind of thing.
Right.
So when I got the opportunity to sort of go into business for myself, I was scared at first, but once you do it, man, I'd never go back. I'd never go back at all.
Yeah, that's a great example to give to the people that are scared to death of leaving their job. You know, like, once you jump off that cliff, once you take the step to actually just cut the ties from whatever you're hung up on, your golden handcuffs, your pension, your security, your benefits, whatever the paycheck, whatever they're keeping you there, doing something that's against kind of like who you are. And once you break the tie of that and jump off that cliff, you have no choice but to figure it out. So then you have to.
And you will, yeah.
Yeah.
And things will work out.
Yeah.
And then with me doing it, then like immediately, 4 or 5 other guys that I knew that were there did it. Like, they were just like, okay, we're following, we're doing it. And now a bunch of them throughout the world now have their own production companies are working that. And then we help each other. We work on each other's projects, and we can source different work out to each other and that. So
Sure, that's how it should work, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you got
Yeah.
somebody to bounce some ideas off. And
yeah, and I can outsource, like my graphics gets done in Malaysia, and my audio sometimes gets done in Hong Kong and stuff like that. So, everybody just helps everybody out.
Yeah, that's great. Well, so I think that ties in nicely, like, to be able to have you in here. Now, the one last question before we get into our game that we have is
The Wheel of Filth is back.
You knew the game was coming.
we have one game to play with you if you don't mind staying for the end of the game. But one question before is that you and Rainey Media have come and helped out live from the Dutch Hall. You've come in here and you've really I tell you that for Monday, the people that are going to get to watch the Wheel of Filth, they're in for a real treat, because what I really liked about it, I did not expect it to come out as great as it did.
Well, thank you.
I've really enjoyed the fact, and you did some stand-up comedy too when you were in Hong Kong, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Right? So that
It's on YouTube. Google it. Dean Rainey stand up.
hey, you were the best novelty act in Norfolk Has Talent.
That's right.
Yeah, so these are all credits I forgot to mention in the first thing, right? But what I like about it, you can tell you've really got a respect for the humor in the show, and with the way that you filmed it and the way you edited it, you really punched the jokes up and you made everything look really sharp. And I would say for our first crack out, where we're all still learning how to work with each other, I was really pleased with the way it turned out. In my wildest dreams, I couldn't imagine my first delve into video to look as good as it did. So a real hearty thank you from all of us at Live from the Dutch Hall for what you've done for us.
Well, we appreciate that. We don't hear. We love to hear stuff like that from the clients. Everybody's excited, I think, on the team, because a lot of times we're making a living, we're doing our marketing and our promotional videos, and so the chance to do something different. I got into television because I love comedy and I love creating and I love talented people and that. And so when I heard your show, it was a different voice than I've been hearing out there, and I just thought there's something here, and I'd like to help them out if I can and be a part of it.
Well, thank you very much. I really do appreciate it. You're a great addition to the team, and we like the whole crew. I mean, we have. We should probably just mention a bit of the crew here.
Sure.
We don't have Gus here today, but we have.
Beautiful Gus.
But Gus was a terrific addition to the Wheel of Filth.
Paul and him really
I think.
hit it off.
I think the bartender Paul Van Dyke.
Like a Vegas trip planned.
Yeah, he's taking him to Vegas. We have Ryan Proper, he was actually a great help to me. He laughed at all my jokes out there, which was on the first show. So he was a real great addition. And then we had Holly, who was not giving me much as far.
She doesn't give much to anybody, but she does enjoy it. She
Yeah,
just
yeah.
stone face.
Yeah.
Holly Mike. No, I'm really proud to have three local. These are local people.
That's awesome.
We're not doing this in Toronto because of the internet. We're here. These kids, they want to live here too. They like the life here. They have lives here. They don't want to have to move to Toronto. Right. And to be able to give them sort of creative work it's a rarity. But as we move on, things are getting better like this.
Yeah, and I think that we keep pooling talent from the small areas in the world and wherever you are with the technology we have to join us all together with the internet and with ways we can meet, online meeting and stuff like that. There's no reason why we can't accomplish great things from small little towns like what we live in, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Pete. Yeah.
All right, so let's thanks again. Let's go into our final game now. We're going to play a game. It's a one that we've used. We used it on a Jason Ryder's episode, Whiskey Night with Jason Ryder. One of the early episodes we did live from the Dutch Hall.
If I can interrupt though, was that whiskey that we did a shot of? It was like Maraschino cherries.
Yeah,
It was
Wayne Gretzky was handing out Maraschino cherry flavored whiskey. Or?
Apparently.
What it
Or did
was
you
is
fill it with that?
no,
Champion's
it was Ryan Vandenbush that filled it. And he told me it was a mixture of rye whiskey and amaretto is what he put in the bottle. The amaretto is what threw you off.
Yeah.
I thought I was expecting way worse, to be honest with you, because I had no idea. That thing had been around for since October, so I didn't know what exactly was in it. I couldn't
Aged to
remember.
perfection.
Crystal Veil.
But it turned out pretty good. Anyways, this show is called The Iron Sheik or the Pope, and it's a Twitter game. And I think it's only fitting that because tomorrow night we're going to go on a great pilgrimage for our second ever 2015 road show. We're going to visit our listeners in Kingston, Ontario, Canada. They've made a request for us to come down, and they made it so nice for us. It was a kosher pork chop, a listener of ours from
Great
Kingston,
listener.
who invited us down to visit the Iron Sheik. And we've been invited in as a member of the press to go to the press conference before the Iron Sheik drops the puck for the Kingston Frontenacs game, and we are going to be representing the media there.
He's dropping the puck.
Oh, yeah.
He's dropping the puck, yeah. He's dropping the puck. And then we're going to see Iron Sheik's movie, his new documentary, which from all accounts, it sounds like it's a really great documentary. And then there's a Q&A afterwards, and then we go to the after party with the Sheik.
Wow.
So we were invited into an after party with the Sheik where we've been told we may be able to, and I don't want to promise anything until we get into it because I know how these things tend to go, but we may be able to have an actual sit-down interview with the man himself, the Iron Sheik, the great wrestler.
Oh, can you ask him how Nikolai Volkov is?
I will.
Yeah.
I will ask him that, and I will
His
also.
ex-partner or partner that was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Iron Sheik and Nikolai Volkov. I have great memories as a child of watching them in
team.
Brantford Civic Center.
Oh,
yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, I can't wait to talk to Sheik about it. So the Iron Sheik, great. It's a great get for life from the Dutch Hall. I'm really excited about it. And on the other side of that is Pope Francis. And Pope Francis and I have had a relationship since the beginning of life in the Dutch Hall. I've always talked back and forth. I've been trying to get the Pope to do a yard sale with me, sell some of the Vatican stuff and give that stuff to the poor. I've been tweeting back and forth to the Pope for at least a year. And I came across this article which really broke my heart. And it's from Vatican City. Pope Francis made a confession of sorts, telling a 16-year-old girl that he doesn't have a clue about how to work a computer. The 70-year-old Francis made the confession during a Google Hangout with several disabled kids from across the world. He said, Alicia from Spain asked Francis if he liked taking photos with his computer. Pope Francis replied, do you want me to tell the truth? Which, if you're the Pope, you should probably tell the truth.
You're always telling the truth.
Should be no question about it.
Yeah, it's like one of the big commandments, Pope.
Can you say that in confession?
Yeah,
Do
well,
you want me to tell the truth?
That's what makes me wonder about the Pope. It's like, is the highest priest in the Catholic Church just the people who feel the worst about doing bad things? Like, aren't you supposed to not do bad things?
Yeah.
I thought just don't do the bad things, Pope. Tell the truth, and
That was part of the job description. Like,
Right.
yeah, if he told, just don't sin, Pope. And
Yeah.
instead of every one of his tweets being like, we're all sinners, ask for forgiveness and grace, just, how about this? Don't sin.
yeah, make it easy.
Yeah, just be good.
Set an example.
Yeah, maybe you can start, Pope, by not opening a Twitter account and leading me down the garden path to believe that you are me and you are Twitter buddies.
Did he reply to you?
No, he never replied to me. No. He never did reply to me. I thought he was
Maybe
busy.
he doesn't know how.
I could, yeah, maybe he doesn't know.
It's handlers.
Yeah.
So, anyways, the game that we're going to play this week is
His
called
handlers are nuns.
the game we're going to play this week is called the Iron Sheik or the Pope. So I will read you a tweet from Twitter, and you have to tell me, Dean Rainey of Rainey Media, whether it's
In association with Try Tie Tonight.
There you go.
yeah. Is that what it is?
Trying to get another plug in there.
Oh, very good. Whatever you want. Okay, so you have to tell me if it's the Iron Sheik or the Pope. Are you ready?
Yeah.
All right, this is the one. The Neil Patrick Harris white underwear have the skid mark longer than the J-Lo dress. It's Iron Sheik or the Pope?
I'm going to go with the Iron Sheik.
Ah, correct. Ding, ding, ding.
Hey.
Is there a ding, ding, ding? Yes.
Good call.
Well played.
So you're very good. You see how it works, eh?
Yeah,
It's easy
yeah.
peasy. Okay, this is a more difficult one. Are you ready for it?
Yeah.
Everything is Awesome is the best song on earth.
That is a tricky one. Because the first one was the overuse of the word the.
Yes.
Right? But this is nothing there.
No.
Everything is Awesome is a great song. The Pope, then.
Oh,
Cheeky baby.
nice, nice, Bergman, nice. That's why we pay on the big bucks.
Yeah,
The
well
Pope's not
played.
saying the word awesome.
All right, here's
The Iron Sheik said that one?
Iron Sheik said that one. Everything awesome. He loves that song. The Everything is Awesome. Iron Sheik
Okay.
loves it.
Go to.
He's a real complex guy. He's not.
He really
yeah,
is.
He really
no
is.
jabroni on there or anything.
No. All right. How about this one? Slaves no more. We are all brothers and sisters. Iron Sheik or the Pope?
The grammar's bad. So I'm going with the Iron Sheik, but then, I don't know, it's a good message. Iron Sheik.
It's the Pope. Disappointing. You're really starting to really. Okay.
Started off good.
I know.
You ready for a bleep, Dean? Can we do a bleep?
Okay.
Okay. You ready for a bleep at home? All right. How about this one? 50 Shades of Go Fuck Yourself.
Okay. Iron Sheik.
Iron Sheik. That is right. Iron Sheik. Yeah. All right. I got to get it easy because you're on a bit of a losing streak there. I wanted to give you just a lob one in there for you. Okay. This one is actually a really difficult one. Being humble helps us share the burdens of others.
Well, the delivery sounds like the Iron Sheik,
It sure does.
but I'm going to go with the Pope.
Oh, you're right. The Pope.
you
I
tried
tried tricking you.
Good
All
answer.
right.
Good answer.
This one I really have problems with. This is going to be my second last one. The Turd Ferguson Intelligent Jew. SNL #SNL40. The Turd Ferguson Intelligent Jew.
Kim Kardashian?
Oh, so close. No, it was the Iron Sheik.
Yeah, okay.
And
Norm McDonald?
Norm Macdonald played Turd Ferguson, and Norm Macdonald is not a Jew at all.
He's Canadian.
Yeah, well, Canadians can be Jewish as well.
That's true. Wah, wah, wah for me.
Not around here.
What's Turd
Rich enough.
Turd Ferguson's Burt Reynolds character on the SNL sketch where he does Jeopardy. You know, Alex
Oh,
Trebek.
right.
the big hat.
And Burt Reynolds comes out and he goes, Burt Reynolds, and he goes, that's not my name. He goes, and he has to read it as Turd Ferguson. Anyways, Turd Ferguson. He's no Jew though, Iron Sheik. I'll have to talk to you about that tomorrow. Okay, that's the last one. Take a bow because you are a prostitute. Hashtag Grammys.
The Iron Sheik.
That's the Iron Sheik. Let's close it out.
Gotta be. Can't be.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody. That is our show for this week. I hope that you can tune in next week to listen on iTunes or go on any of the podcast apps. Go to my website, livefromthedutchhall.com, or join the new video world and look at my YouTube page, Live from the Dutch Hall's YouTube page, and you can watch the Wheel of Filth, which is out this Monday, and probably like about a week later or so, we should be seeing this one, the Dutch Hall Revolution. Until then, everybody, I want to thank our guest, Dean Rainey at Rainey Media. If you'd like to reach out to him, you can go to www.raineymedia.com, and that's RAINEY media.com. And you can reach out to Dean there, and if you have anything that you'd like to use their crack team for, and I really do endorse you guys because you've done a great job. And once you watch the Wheel of Filth on Monday, you'll see how good a job these guys do.
Well, you guys did a great job coming up with the content. Lots of good laughs there.
Yeah, we just got to work on getting it shorter, right?
It's a little long.
Yeah. But I'd like to thank you for all your help and for coming in today. I'd like to thank my house band, Nocturnal Emissions, Mike Bowe, and the birthday boy, Derek Van Houten.
Yeah.
Until then, everybody, we'll see you next week. And take care of each other. Thanks a lot, everybody. You got the guitar, Mike?
Let's get it out.
Oh.
Give me a second here. Charters, suck it.